All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. But we're going to have a show.
We'll do it live.
Smash it with your iron rod.
I stand corrected.
Why are you yelling?
I misspoke. My words upset so many people.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
Woohoo! What up, what up, what up? Yeah, you know, straight up to it. Nice to have everybody in the room. Very excited that you're all here. This is, 2.5 weeks now with this show. It gets more coherent every hour. And so appreciate your support. Yeah, we've got the crew here. Fabulous producer John Daly.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Right, exactly. Kim,
how are you?
Yeah, is on board. She'll do news, bottom of the hour, a couple of breaking stories. We'll get to those. Tony is with us, too.
Thanks, Tony.
And he is someone responsible for stirring the technical drink for us. I have a special lottery group activity in a moment, and I really am excited about it. The lottery, as you're aware, what is it now, 1.2 billion?
I think it's at 1.4.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Kim likes to say 1.4 bill.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, she said, yeah, but I think was it yesterday? You said, yeah, it's 1.1 bill. It's now 1.4 bill. We'd like all of us to have a piece of that. It would all of a sudden completely relieve any responsibility from any of us to support this stream any longer, to support this show. All of a sudden, if one of us could, I'll speak for myself. If I won the lottery, I would just underwrite everything. Everybody would be paid out of my payroll, and that would be the end of it.
Well, that's what you say now.
We're at 1.2 bill. 1.2.
1.2 okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your attitude might change once you speak with
Yes,
lawyer
it's true. John's not wrong about that. It's possible that my attitude could
realize
shift.
the taxes involved.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to just hear the sob story that would allow me to backpedal on that. You know what I mean? Like, how would I backpedal out of that?
I can't. I've got a lot of expenses, and I just can't.
As it
really
turns
afford
out, I didn't realize I don't get to keep as much as I thought.
I have 4 cats. Meat is expensive.
Courtney says no.
Inflation.
We have a lot to do in terms of politics today. I was going to talk about the Pelosi break-in. I've got, there are pretty obvious aspects of the Pelosi break-in that seem to be, for some reason, completely ignored as this whole thing's politicized. So we'll get to that in a moment. I also want to talk about what's happening in Ukraine. And so we're going to touch on some serious news. But in a second, I will tell you my plan for us all to participate in the lottery. Before I do that, I want to recognize Steve Moskowitz. Steve's been our founding sponsor since we began, and he's our exclusive sponsor. He's a veteran tax attorney through the Bay Area and across America. If you have any issues, maybe as even a single proprietor, you know what I mean? As an individual, you, of course, file taxes, but maybe even as a sole business owner, you file taxes as well. He's talked to you before about ERC. We'll touch on it again because it just represents a lot of opportunities for people who might not think they could get government money to get government money. But Steve Moskowitz is 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. If you want to find him online, it's MoskowitzLLP.com. Moskowitz is Moskowitz. Moskowitz.
And if you win the lotto, he's ready to
LLP.com.
go. He's ready to go.
Yeah, you're going to need him. That may be the first call you want to make if you win the lottery. So $1.2 billion Powerball prize. I'm going to buy lottery tickets, and I don't usually buy lottery tickets. As you're aware, I'm very much about the gamble. I love the idea of gambling. I love the idea of having action, as long as it doesn't get away from you. You know, I mean, you've got to gamble with money that you can afford never to see again. If you're not doing that, then you've got a problem. But having said that, it's okay to budget a little bit for, fun activity so the lottery falls into that category. But here's what I want to do. What if we have now? Help me, since I don't play the lottery typically. You go in and you just give the person $40, and they'll give you, what would that be? They're $2 a piece, right? So I'd get 20 tickets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you need to specify Powerball as opposed to Mega Million, as opposed to Mega Millions or Super Lotto. Yeah. Okay, so specify Powerball. And then when it comes to
you're such a novice.
What numbers? Everybody, you're probably thinking, you got to be kidding me, man. You don't know how to play the card. No, I don't. And I've played high stakes gambling for a long, but I've not played the lottery ever.
This is like the play school version of gambling.
So you can do quick picks where the machine just picks the numbers for you.
Okay, I'll do that. Maybe I'll get 20 at quick picks. And I wonder what numbers to play, though. If you choose the numbers, you need to do you enter them into a machine, or do you ask the person?
You have to go and write them down on this little piece
it's like
of paper.
those old Scantrons.
Yeah.
Looks like the SAT.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you fill it in. You fill in
fill in the bubbles. Yeah.
Okay.
You select 5 numbers in the main bubble, and then area, and then 1 bubble in the Powerball bubble.
Fill in bubbles.
And then
make sure there are no hanging chads.
No hanging chad. And then you hand it to the clerk, and they will put it in the machine, and then off you go with your Powerball ticket.
All right.
Seriously, what the?
Okay. No, I really don't. But I want to ask then the audience, can I play a few specific numbers that the audience comes up with? Why not? Right?
But then you have to share your money with the people that they gave you the numbers, right? I mean,
well,
this could get ugly.
You get nothing.
Not legally. Not legally. If they don't spend the money and they don't.
In the rich tradition of the show, I would probably maybe my top Patreon subscribers I'd take care of. Does that seem like a reasonable? Yeah.
I think that's all right.
They've stepped up for me. I'd step up for them. Is it wrong to think with all that money that you wouldn't throw it around?
You would have like a
I think
PPP
I'd throw it around,
program.
man.
You would have a Patreon PPP program.
That's right. I mean, I think that's clever. I love it. If we had that kind of money, we could.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
We could wet everybody's beak if we won this money.
You could form a company and qualify for the ERC.
That's an idea as well. ERC has to do with loss and interruption. I don't know if you could.
During the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic. Maybe you haven't heard the spots closely enough, Ken?
Is that
well, I'll tell you what. We'll go over it again for you.
Okay, I'll wait for that.
We could start doing them twice an hour.
How do we pick the numbers? How does the audience participate with their numbers? That's what I want. I really mean this. I'm going to play the numbers that people suggest I play. How do I do that, John?
They could email them to you.
Okay. Email me some numbers. It's themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. The other thing I would tell you, we do have some, I've got a correction. Speaking of that, I got an email. Where is the...
And it's a total of 6 numbers. 5 plus the Powerball number.
So I need 6 numbers. I need 5 numbers for the main and then 1 for the Powerball. So
and if you get them in order, you get a lot of extra points.
Correction and apology.
Yeah, I do have a correction, and that is associated with 2 corrections, actually. So I've got...
correction and apology.
I don't know if an apology is necessary, but definitely a correction. And here is the correction from yesterday. I'd mentioned that I was watching the first episode of White Lotus, Season 2, and it's really good. And I think I mentioned it's on Netflix. It's not on Netflix. And it was pointed out by several people in the chat. And so thank you for those texts. I didn't see those texts until I went back. I look at the text during the live chat on the playback right now because I'm trying to figure out certain things about the show right now as we grow.
I thought you said it was HBO.
No, I said it was. I think I said it was Netflix. Didn't
Why don't you just text it?
I thought I did, but anyway, there were enough people correcting me that I think I said Netflix and not HBO. Anyway, it is on HBO, White Lotus. And the other thing, and I just got this email, and again, it's KGO. No, it's not KGO. It's themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. I still have the other email, but I don't really, I prefer people come over to themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Let me.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
The Grady Judd costume that we talked about, Halloween costume. You recall we showed you a picture of Grady Judd. That is a meme. That is not an actual costume. So yeah, I know. Yeah. I was disappointed.
I could have told you that, but I didn't want to let you down.
You're
having too much fun.
Well, Karen originally sent it to us, and then she said, I heard you mention my email yesterday on the fabulous Mark Thompson show. Sadly, the Sheriff Grady Judd costume is just a Halloween meme. And then she sent a few more with Elon Musk and Kanye West. And anyway.
It's not just a meme. It's a dream. It's an aspiration, right?
Yeah. Mike from Oklahoma wants us to play the number 6. We will. Joanne.
Like all 6?
I can't play all 6s. I guess he just wants the number 6 integrated into the...
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Maybe I can integrate it into this. 258, and then she's got 3 other numbers from Joanne. All right.
So is this sports betting radio now that we're doing?
Not yet. Not yet.
Gambling radio.
It may happen. But I'm serious. I'll play these numbers. So to a point. If you send me in suggestions, I will play them to a point. If you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, it's at Mark T Live. We'll see how Twitter goes. We'll see how Twitter changes. And the reality is maybe Twitter will go away or not be the way we want to
you could put a down payment on Twitter. You might. I could. It.
Boy, did he overpay for that. He really overpaid for that. But that's not really our problem. Although it may be our problem because I think he's going to change Twitter to try to turn it into either a subscription service or some kind of revenue streams that are going to be embedded in a sense within the Twitter model. So all of that's still to come. Can you jot down some of these numbers? Mike in Oklahoma says just 1-6 he wants to play. Okay. I'll integrate a 6. I do want you to smash the like button, and that's kind of very important that you smash the like
it with your iron rod.
The reason it's important, of course, I've mentioned before, is the number of likes we have, even if you're watching it in playback, is very important relative to the number of people who stream the show overall. So you can also support the show through Patreon, and we need your support because we have just Steve Moskowitz as our sponsor, so we don't, carpet bomb the show with commercials the way we used to at KGO. But in return, we need your support. So you can do that through a Patreon membership. You can find all the ways you can support us. There's PayPal as a link at themarkthompsonshow.com. themarkthompsonshow.com. I'll remind you, if you don't put themarkthompsonshow.com, and if you just put markthompsonshow.com, you get a Christian ventriloquist who is, I'm sure, terrific. Yeah, I'm all for Christian ventriloquism, not even mocking it. I really mean it. I think it kind of could be fun and interesting, but it doesn't help our show at all. So themarkthompsonshow.com. The Russians actually talked about using nuclear weapons, according to U.S. intelligence. Frustrated by battlefield setbacks in Ukraine, the Russian military leaders actually had conversations about the appropriate use of nuclear weapons on the battlefield, tactical nuclear weapons.
Who is having that conversation?
Yeah, who is having that conversation?
Who is having that conversation?
The answer is Russian military officials. Still, I should add this. American officials are saying there's no evidence that the Russians are moving nuclear weapons into place or taking other tactical measures to prepare for a strike like that. The conversations were circulated inside the U.S. government in mid-October, according to sources. And I'll remind you, when they game out the use of nukes, even what they call strategic nuclear weapons, it all games out to create the use of more widespread nuclear confrontations, and you end up with... Steve's in the green room now? Is that right?
It looks like Steve's a little early.
Oh, Steve's early.
You want to go to Steve?
We can, sure. Give me 1 second to tease what's coming up then. A huge settlement out of CVS and Walgreens, nearly $10 billion. I'll tell you what that's about. And I'll also tell you why it may not happen. They need states to agree to the settlement for it to happen. Essentially, CVS and Walgreens are trying to buy their way out of additional legal liability, I would say. Trump conspiracies, and I have a giant chunk of politics at the bottom of the hour with Michael Shure, who will join us. And the reason it's a giant chunk and the reason it's important with midterms just a week away is in California, which is a blue state, Democrats are losing ground. And Democrats are losing ground in other parts of the country as well. We'll talk about that with Michael Shure. And all the news for Democrats isn't bad, but it's interesting to see the ebb and flow of politics and based on polling, likely outcomes, even in California, this deeply blue state. So, all right, let's go to him now. He is our Mac Daddy. He's our exclusive sponsor. I was talking about him just moments ago. He's Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Mark.
Steve, I'm spelling your name. I spelled it at the beginning of the I spelled it at the beginning of the show. Just in case there's any misunderstanding, we have it on the screen, and it's both under you and it's scrolling. So let there be no mistake about how to spell Moskowitz.
Well, thank you. Moskowitz. And I'd like to thank one of our loyal listeners who's been emailing back and forth with me, pointing things out. So thank you to you.
Yeah, that's right. This guy, Paul, has been saying you should spell Steve Moskowitz's name so everybody knows how to reach him at moskowitzllp.com. All right. It's M-O-S-K-O-W-I-T-Z. M-O-S-K-O-W-I-T-Z. We could come up with a jingle of some kind. Maybe that's
not, are we perfect with a little dance to go with it?
A little dance.
Nothing finer.
Look, little dance, no extra charge. All right, let's talk. Now Kim made an error in her description of ERC earlier. I was really kind of I'm going to use the word ashamed. I was ashamed.
I would know better. It's
that Kim has heard us talk about ERC over and over, and then she mischaracterized ERC. It's outrageous.
Why are you yelling?
I'm embarrassed.
Yes, Steve.
She
again,
took the retention out of employee retention credit.
She suggested somehow that you could set up shop now and get ERC as a business. You can't do that legally.
ERC is for 2020 and 2021.
Okay, Kim.
I stand corrected. Apologies.
But we love you anyway, Kim. It's okay.
Yeah. But you can, even though those years are in the tax book, you can claim losses there, and as a result, or even any interruptions in business, and as a result, get government money through ERC.
So what's happening is the government is offering employers up to $26,000 for every employee that you have that qualifies. So if you had 10 employees that qualified, that's over $250,000. If you had 20, that's up to over $500,000, and so on. So what do you have to do to qualify? This is the big deal. There's two ways, the easy way and the complex way. The easy way is if your gross revenue went down by a certain percentage. That's it. It's math. It's either yes or no. But the problem, Mark, that's so easy. A lot of firms are stopping there because if you don't qualify there, they say, well, that's it. You don't qualify, no ERC for you. Wrong. The law says there's two ways, either or, that way. And that's where we start too. But if you don't have the drop in gross revenue, and a lot of times people don't, there's a second way, and that's a facts and circumstances test. And sometimes people say, well, my revenue went up. How could that be? Well, I want to say to one of my clients, he described it perfectly. His cost used to be $7 a unit. It rose to $22 a unit. So he said his total gross revenue was up from the previous period, but he's lost a lot of sales, and he's lost so much because of this. So the bottom line is, if you qualify, we want to get you every dollar to which you're legally entitled. On the other hand, there's a lot of fraud going on, and the IRS is investigating that. There are these firms that have just popped up just to do ERC, nothing else. They just came into existence for ERC. They're going to disappear when the IRS has a few questions to ask. We are a law firm that has been practicing tax law for over 30 years, and we're here for you, and we're warning you about the two extremes. Don't be dissuaded by somebody who says you don't qualify because maybe you do. On the other hand, obviously, you never, ever want to commit any type of fraud. Keep away from those people with an 11-foot pole. The bottom line is come to us. Let's see if you qualify. And a lot of people do. And if you do, you might be entitled to a substantial amount of money. And remember, it's a grant. It's not a loan. They just give you the money. It's a reward.
I also think, just as a little coda to all of that, PPP, I don't know what that's probably a weather alert, maybe? I don't know what.
No, that's a missing alert, an endangered adult.
Oh, okay. There is, in PPP, there was that brief window whereby people were given money. Most of the money didn't go to a lot of small businesses, and a lot of people took advantage who were already well advantaged by society.
Mark, that's an excellent point. There's a major difference between PPP and ERC. PPP, the government set aside a sum of money and said, here it is. When it's gone, program's over, goodbye. ERC has no such limit. ERC is general treasury. That's it. Unlimited funds, United States Treasury.
And so I really want our listeners and viewers to take advantage of that if they can. So you can reach Steve, of course, at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Also online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Here's how you spell Moskowitz. Moskowitz. Here's how you spell LLP. LLP. And it's MoskowitzLLP.com. He is the great one. He is Steve Moskowitz. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I think I understand
The Mark Thompson Show.
What's that, Kim? What's that?
I understand the ERC so much better now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kim, I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised we had to go through that.
I am too.
But on the other hand,
a teachable moment.
Yeah. Kim's room looks like that Wolf's Lodge with the indoor water slides, or Robert Redford spread in Wyoming, says John Smith. Yeah, I on the text line, you can text in your thoughts. I noticed that Kim's living room setup is kind of changing day to day. Anybody else notice that?
Why don't you just text it?
So, somebody wrote in, hey, having Kim's living room look like that may discourage people from supporting your show because it looks like she already has a lot of money. But if you watch the show for more than 2 days, you know that she shifts the perspective there. So, Kim should get a timeout in the chandelier room because of this, because of her error on ERC. I agree, Jim. I tell you, we gave her a public reprimand.
It's true,
but we did not. You get one strike for nothing, right? The coda is a ding word. Tom says, and Tom is a great supporter of the show, and I think he's a very talented voiceover artist too. Is coda a ding word? I think he's right. I think coda is a ding word. Yeah. Nice job. Okay. Thank you, Tom. You can text in any thoughts, comments, and don't forget to smash that like button. Smash it like a boss.
Smash it with your iron
Smash it
rod.
like a boss. And any kind of super stickers and super chats. Of course, we'll always read your super chats. We'll do it at the bottom of the hour. I want to tell you about that Walgreens settlement. It's huge. CVS and Walgreens are near a $10 billion deal. CVS and Walgreens are settling opioid cases.
Morning.
Thousands of lawsuits. That's right, from the Walgreens world.
Morning.
Yeah. A large majority of state, local, and tribal governments still have to sign on for this to take effect. But this, again, is an effort on the part of CVS and Walgreens to handle all of these thousands of lawsuits in one fell swoop. They've made the announcement in government filings, but finalization is conditional on an overwhelming majority of plaintiffs. Now, these are individual plaintiffs and state plaintiffs, right? Because the states are suing on behalf of those who live there. Overwhelming majority of municipal and tribal governments as well signing on to this deal. But if the deals are finalized, they would represent payouts from the arm of the pharmaceutical industry that has been most resistant to striking a deal with plaintiffs in the litigation.
Morning.
Many large manufacturers of prescription opioids and the 3 major drug distribution companies have already settled. We've given you information on the Sacklers, et cetera. But CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart are very much in the focus of civil lawsuits. Big retailers mostly opted to test their arguments in court. So, again, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart said, hey, great, bring it on. We've got lawyers. Let's try to see maybe we can get away with less. But a federal judge ordered CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart to pay $650 million. That was just in Ohio. They had to pay that. This has been a 2-decade-old opioid crisis. The jury in the Ohio cases found that the companies turned a blind eye to the diversion of prescription opioids that they were dispensing. They ignored red flags that warned of egregious quantities of the pills. Egregious is a ding word. And they ignored that the fact that these huge quantities of these pills exited the doors into communities. Of course, you know about what happened in Florida. There was a settlement in Florida, settlement in West Virginia, settlement into New York counties. So, slowly the
Wait, there's a drug problem in Florida?
What?
Yeah. How about that? Anyway, we're learning what amounts are being talked about in these negotiations through various leaks in the negotiation. For example, Walmart had agreed to pay $3.1 billion in their part of the settlement negotiation. But when you put it all together, it's $10 billion. But as I say, you'll need states and municipalities and localities all to sign on to that. So that's what's happening with that. I mean, that's a massive crisis. I will get to the Pelosi attack. We're going to do it in the 11 o'clock hour. In fact, the former president, Donald Trump, actually spoke about the Pelosi attack. And of course, he is backing a conspiracy which has been completely debunked. And if you really wonder about how effective the debunking is, there's video of the guy breaking in. So it's always wild to me, like, well, what more do you need to see? There's video of the guy breaking in.
Well, it's probably deep fake.
Yeah, exactly. That's apparently. The other thing I wanted to mention, Kim pointed out that Clarence Thomas, I guess, is at the center of conversations around what was the plan on working around election results in the last election. I have to choose my words so carefully because now I'm realizing, remember we had that one show taken down, even though I didn't, I don't push any kind of things that aren't accurate about what happened. And again, even as I'm explaining it, I'm trying to pick my words carefully, but there it is. Clarence Thomas was key to a plan to delay certification of 2020 election. This was all said in Trump lawyers' emails. It's remarkable to me, just as an aside, and as I say, we'll get more into the Pelosi matter and other stuff. We're doing law and disorder after 11 o'clock. But it's remarkable to me that the trail of breadcrumbs back to this plan to launch a coup, in effect, to overturn that election, it's real and so manifestly clear. And yet this guy is the tail that's wagging the GOP dog. It's amazing to me that he has the power he does. It's the power of, I think, social media image and of being a bully in the media. And when that meets the power grab that is what you see in right-wing media, and when I say power grab, I'm talking about the pushing of what are clearly things as ridiculous as this Pelosi conspiracy. I mean, it's just absurd. As I say, there's video. You realize how desperate the power grab has become. Now, there's always been a power grab in different ways, right? Gerrymandering is a power grab, right? Redrawing congressional district is a power grab. It's an underhanded way to maintain power, and it's an extremely effective one. But this is a new naked way to grab power that I just never thought we'd see in this country. It's a remarkable thing. Hate speech on Twitter jumps 500% in the first 12 hours of Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter. not specifying terms, only saying they were vulgar and hostile toward race, religion, and ethnicity. Well, those are the big three, right? I mean,
If you get it in order, you get extra
race,
points.
religion, and ethnicity. That's right. I will, I'll get more. Can we move the Charlie Kirk thing to 11 o'clock? I'll mention that in relation to Pelosi. Here's a little, can I give you one little note out of the city? I thought it was interesting, that the city of San Francisco I'm talking about, that a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco has now, for rental purposes, dropped below Boston in terms of being expensive. San Francisco had been the most expensive, and now San Francisco is the third most expensive city to be a renter. Median one-bedroom apartment rent fell in October. The city has dropped into the third position as the most expensive market, behind
coming in at number 3.
Boston, coming in at number 5. Yeah.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40 in Hollywood.
San Francisco's latest rental market shows it's dropping to number 3 on our survey.
Another sign of the slow recovery during the pandemic is the dropping of these rents. But
yeah, it's so
still,
cheap now. So
yeah, right.
cheap.
It's really pick up a couple of units.
Totally affordable. Not.
Oh my God! So you're probably wondering what's number 1. Mm-hmm. What do you think's number 1? Come on.
New York.
Yeah, New York. Exactly. So it's New York, Boston, San Francisco. Oh, this is a good question, though. Most expensive places to rent. New York's number 1. Boston's number 2. San Francisco's number 3. What's number 4? What's number 4 as the most expensive? Nobody on the show answer first. I want the chat. I want people in the chat first to offer an opinion. If you're on YouTube watching us live, the question is, what's number 4? New York is the most expensive place to rent an apartment, followed by Boston, followed by San Francisco. What's number 4? Any guesses? Let me look to see if anybody's got a guess. John says San Jose. Eileen says Seattle. Kim says Chicago. Not our Kim, another Kim. C-Star Lady says Palo Alto. That's a good guess. Miami, says Ann. CJ says Miami. Karen says LA. Oh, you're putting them up on the screen. Thank you. Sorry. Valerie says Beverly Hills. Mark, it'd be nice if you could follow the ones that we're actually putting on the screen. Oh, sorry about that. Chuck U. Farley says Austin. Beverly Hills, right. All right, I'll give you the answer. The actual retail price.
Can we guess?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please, John.
I'm going to go with M. Oak. I was thinking D.C.
Fabulous producer, John Daly.
You're going what?
Washington, D.C.
Washington,
M. Oak
D.C.
in the chat guessed D.C., and I'm going with that.
And what do you say, Kim?
Well, John Daly's usually right, so I should say that.
Oh, that's right. He just fought. This is unfair. I should always ask Kim first.
I am
she
not
just goes with whatever Daly says, she goes. Okay, go ahead.
My first thought was Los Angeles, although I do like what AP has to say, Honolulu, but I'm going LA.
LA is number 7 on the list. Number 4 on the list, if you guessed San Jose, give yourself a ding. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. San Jose. Followed by Miami, San Diego, Los Angeles, then you're Washington, D.C. It's number 8, John.
San Diego.
Oakland is number 9. Yeah. And
this is
Miami's
Casey
always
Kasem
up
on
there.
American Top 40 in
Rounding
Hollywood.
out the top 10 is Santa Ana, California.
We had a couple people for Atherton.
yeah,
Atherton.
Atherton.
Does that include
Yes.
the Batmobile or without the Batmobile?
Yes, pay us in Bitcoin. I think the reality is Atherton probably, maybe it's not considered a city, maybe.
It's not really a big rental market either.
Perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't afford to
experience.
buy, then you have no business being an Atherton. That's the latest on that. So San Francisco one-bedroom rent, again, officially slipping to number 3, followed by San Jose. So Much to do. We'll talk California politics, where things are shaking out. Meantime, please, smash the like button and contribute in any way you can. You can find all the ways you can contribute at themarkthompsonshow.com. Kim's news, and then we talk politics.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Use Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McCallum. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. President Biden is set to address threats to democracy in a speech tonight. The Democratic National Committee says he will be discussing the dangers of those who seek to undermine faith in voting and democracy. This comes less than a week before the midterm election. Private companies are creating more new jobs than expected. ADP says 239,000 jobs were added in October. That beat projections by more than 40,000. The leisure and hospitality industry contributed to that number in a big way. The Federal Reserve expected to raise interest rates today, analysts predicting a jump of 0.75 of a point. Fed carrying out a series of rate hikes in recent months in an effort to fight inflation. Border Patrol officials in Texas are defending their response after clashing with a group of Venezuelan nationals. Video shows the agents armed with paintball guns pushing the migrants back into the river while firing pepper spray balls at them. The Border Patrol says one migrant assaulted an agent with a flagpole, another threw a rock at an agent. Again, that video circulating. A man pretending to be a student at Stanford University lived in the dorms for about a year. However, William Curry's adventures ended last week when he was finally located. It happened after the Alabama man was accused of going to the basement of a dorm and stealing a TV. He was reportedly removed from campus several times prior to that. And this week's rainy weather could signal the end of Santa Rosa's fire season. With the rainfall the city saw yesterday and more expected this weekend, fire officials may declare the end of fire season as soon as next week. The Santa Rosa fire marshal telling the Press Democrat the city's threat of a damaging wildfire has been significantly reduced based on the current conditions. Fire officials still warning, though, that just because the potential fire fuel is wet on the outside due to the rain, it does remain dry at its core and it does still pose a risk. There are more executive departures at Twitter, most notable among the latest to leave, Twitter's chief customer officer, Sarah Personette. She says she resigned on Friday, was cut off from the company on Monday, a day before her company stocks vested. Starbucks holiday drinks and cups are this week. Starting Thursday, customers will be able to order everything from the peppermint mocha to the chestnut praline latte. It's also the 25th anniversary of the holiday cup, and the coffee chain has 4 new designs this year. And this report sponsored, yeah, I know, it's new, big news. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and business alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or on the web, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McCallister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
What he's got going here is a situation.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
Call me a liar. Now what do you call me?
You, sir, are a liar.
You are a cover-up artist and you are a liar.
Liar, liar, your pants are on fire!
A Google told me.
Can you let him finish, sir?
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
I'm going to tell you what I think.
What are the porn stars doing, Mark?
Do you have a secret talent?
Doesn't anybody but a weed?
It's 100% effective. How about that?
Say what?
And this is their new host.
There is no defense for my conduct.
I misspoke. I stand corrected.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
Time's up, mother effers.
What up, everybody? Yeah. I'm loving it. Loving it. Shout out to Gail Guthrie. Come on, Gail Guthrie.
Yeah, Gail.
1999. Thank you for that super sticker. Yeah.
Big shout out.
Big shout out. Why not? Thank you, Gail. Thanks to everybody who's making contributions today. It's how we stay on the air, to be perfectly honest. Did anyone watch The Daily Show last night featuring Jordan Kepler? Segment Fingering the Midterms. Stunning. Mike Paul's $10.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. And I didn't see that. I will go back and find it and maybe share it with our crew. Catherine Lemieux, the super sticker. Thank you so much, Catherine. And shout out to you. If I win big tonight on the Powerball, I'm buying all super chatters today. A brand new car. What? From the 916. Yeah. What is the a brand new car? James Buchanan. $2.99 super sticker. Thank you so much, James. It helps keep us on the air. Appreciate that very much. You can leave us super stickers, super chats right here on YouTube in the chat. And I'll just mention to you as well that you're able to, in replay, you're able to actually make a contribution. I'm sorry, I'm looking at something at the same time I'm speaking to you. You're actually able to make a contribution by clicking on the heart with a $sign. So that's the way you can do it in replay as well. And of course, please smash that like button like a boss.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Need those likes and those views as we try to expand our hold, our traction in YouTube. All these things go into whether or not our show is served to people, how many likes we have, how many views we have, how many subscribers we have, slowly trying to build a subscriber network. So these are all things that are critically important. Yeah, I had no idea about this stuff before we started, but it is terrific to see the kind of support we've gotten from you. So thank you for stepping up in all the ways you have, and you can continue to see all the ways you can make a contribution. Patreon, PayPal at themarkthompsonshow.com. themarkthompsonshow.com. I've upped my Patreon, doubled it. Up yours, Ricky says.
Up yours, Ricky Freed.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. We've got some cool stuff coming, too. And if you haven't picked up a KJO and Exile t-shirt, I think there are a handful left. They're on the website, getmarkmerch.com. The KJO and Exile t-shirts look like this. They're in black and in white. So enjoy the
we
look of the new
season. We have 810 of them, right?
We do. We had 810. And I believe they are, I don't know what the numbers are, but I think they're, I'll find out. I'll have that for you tomorrow. Getmarkmerch.com. But that's not the only thing. Black and white KJO and Exile t-shirts. And John's suggesting we're going to have a regular t-shirts coming out too that just say Mark Thompson Show, which we will have. But right now the KJO and Exile t-shirts are right for the moment. Wear the rebellion, my friends. Wear the rebellion. A KJO and Exile t-shirt.
Why are you yelling?
So
and all the money from the Get Merch stuff still goes to animals, right?
Well, it did, and now that we need money to pay you, frankly.
Oh,
we're technically animals.
You, John, and I would like to throw Tony a little something. I need to.
Thanks, Tony.
I need to kind of spin some money off. So that's the plan anyway.
Kim, how are you?
Okay. So, but for now, then we have historically used that site only for animal rescue money, but now we're going to try to, because I literally need money to keep us on the air. So right now we're going to do that. I see there were questions about John and Pat. Pat, I've been in touch with. Pat wants to come on when she has something to announce, and I might have her on sooner than that. I mean, I may try to, push her a little bit to join us sooner. I love Pat, so it'd be great.
What are the porn stars doing, Mark?
Exactly. It'd be great to have Pat talking about anything at all.
Don't ever use that word.
Well, I'm sorry. I enjoy her.
Ta-ta.
Okay. But and John, we also want to have on. There's a technical impediment with John because you join by link. And we've had, like, for example, we're going to have Michael Shure, and I hope the link holds. He's trying to connect with us, and he's having some issues. So that's the problem with John. But anyway, we hope to have them both on. Thanks to everybody who supports us. Democrats are on defense. Yeah, it's hard to believe. California, a deeply blue state. I want to welcome in the guy who's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. He's Michael Shure. And Michael, I was just saying, California doesn't seem as though it would be a place where there would be much. You don't have to put your picture on. You can just give us audio. It's fine. But I wanted to know from you why you think and where you think in California there are key races, and why are there such close races in a place that seems to be kind of a blue state?
Yeah, Mark, so I have to just preface this. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're coming in all distorted on my end. I've been trying to get this
well,
right.
You sound great. I mean, I'll tell you honestly, there's no distortion on your end. So you speak and I'll shut up. So go ahead.
Well, I can't really understand what you're saying, but I know we're talking about California. I only know when you've stopped speaking, but I know we're talking about California politics, and I know we're talking about this election. And, where there might be tight races, or where there may be statewide Republican strength in a place where we didn't expect it. And frankly, I don't think there is. I think that what you're seeing is congressional races and maybe candidates who on a generic ballot are saying that they would like to select their representatives off of 2018 and off of 2020. So I look at a certain number of districts, especially in Southern California, where you're looking at Mike Levin's district, you're looking at Young Kim's district, Orange County districts. Mike Levin has a little bit of San Diego County, and then you're looking at Katie Porter. These are districts that were tight to begin with, and when they were drawn as not as friendly as people in the Democratic Party in California wanted them to be. So you have the president coming to California for a congressional race. It just shows you how precarious the Congress is when he's coming out here to speak on behalf of Mike Levin, but also how important it is to have the attention. So there's Democratic, when you live in a state that is so far in one direction or the other, you get this kind of comfort level with assuming, and you get a little bit of laziness on the part of the voter. They look at a race like Mike Levin's race, and they say, okay, if we're going to have any hope of holding on to the House, I'm not saying that there is, but I'm saying if we have any hope, or if we want to keep those margins less, we've got to win this seat, and we have to energize voters. Does Joe Biden do that? Well, the president coming in at least raises awareness of the fact that this is closer and gets Democrats out.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does Biden help? Who can help? There are the national figures help?
I think you asked who can help, and then I didn't hear the last part. It sounded like did the help. But what I'm going to answer is that it's not generally about one person in this case with Joe Biden. It's about helping raise awareness, as I said before. It's about saying, all right, this is a close race, so maybe I should get out there and vote, even though I'm not inclined to, even though I'm not motivated to. Are there national figures? In certain places, absolutely. You have Bill Clinton campaigning on behalf of Sean Patrick Maloney in New York. Well, he is somebody who might resonate there where he might not resonate in Florida, for example. You have Barack Obama going to these big Senate races in big cities. They're for Mandela Barnes in Milwaukee. Well, everybody who knows that race well thinks that Mandela Barnes, who's challenging Ron Johnson in Wisconsin for that Senate seat, knows that Milwaukee turnout among black voters is important. There's no better surrogate than Barack Obama. We don't know how good a surrogate Joe Biden is. This is his first midterm. He's a popular guy among Democrats, but he's not, the kind of person that is going to make people swoon in their seats. But what I said before holds true, which is that making people aware, Democrats especially, aware of the fact that things might not be going so well, their vote is important in a race that they might be taking for granted. I think when you see a president fly across country, it does that.
What else should we watch in these last few days?
Look, I think this is going to be, again, I think I heard what else should we watch? And what we should be watching is how the polling early on, I mean, so when you see early results on the East Coast, how that matches up with the polling. You know, we've talked a lot about on your show about the sort of inefficiencies of polling, how the pollsters are learning how to do their job better. If we find that the polls are way off on the East Coast, it may, in fact, as the results come in across the country, show you that there are still flaws in polling, and maybe it's not as bad for the Democrats as some polling indicates. Today, there was a CNN poll that said that the generic ballot has Democrats down by, I think it was 4 points. Another poll came out today saying that the Democrats are up by 4 points in generic ballot. Generic ballot is one of those sense of the country issues, and the generic congressional polls generally lead you to know what is going to happen and what's on voters' mind. You have them diverging right now, and that in and of itself creates a lot of unknowns coming up next Tuesday. And I think that Democrats are going to be looking for anything they can hold on to that gives them any semblance of hope. And I think that the accuracies in some polls and the inaccuracies in others are going to be what holds them. And also the fact that turnout in places where there are tight races could be up in places where they need it to be.
Michael, thank you. Michael Shure, everybody, joins us on Fridays typically. Hope that he can work out for Friday, but appreciate you answering the bad beam today. Michael Shure, everybody. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael Shure.
He sounded great. I guess we didn't sound good going out, but he has really forgotten more than most of us will ever know when it comes to politics. He's just brilliant. It's a weird thing that there's this undercurrent of, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in Law and Disorder after 11 o'clock, undercurrent of suggesting that this Pelosi attack on this 82-year-old man is somehow a political ploy. I mean, I get it. Democrats need some good stuff to happen, but I don't even see how the narrative is helped at all. And of course, as I told you before, there's video of the break-in, so it doesn't really,
Yeah, but I mean, if you believe in baby blood and child trafficking,
exactly. Pedophilia and right.
This is not a stretch.
Yeah, John's right. Michael Shure's at Michael Shure, Shure. Taylor Swift, the first artist to sweep the entire top 10 on Billboard's Top 100. You know what that means? It means that she has every song in the top 10.
She's not messing around.
What would Casey say?
I mean, I don't think I know that didn't happen.
This is Casey Kasem on America's Top 40 in Hollywood.
Has it ever happened before? How many times has an artist had more than one song in the top 10? This is Casey in Hollywood. Let's find out. The answer is, John, maybe you could even look at that. I don't know. I feel like
I think she broke a record. Someone last year, I want to say, a male artist had 9 of the 10. I'm not sure who it is.
Yeah, it's a rap artist.
Oh, is that right? Okay. She apparently just writes great songs.
She also released all of them as singles at the same time.
Okay, so what John just said is very important. I think they were all released on an album as well. So in other words, to get the story of the album, this is my understanding. I'm not a Swiftie, but the songs all have to be listened to. So in a sense, you're buying or downloading or whatever these songs so that you can follow the story. Isn't there a narrative, I think, that goes on?
Yeah, the whole thing is it's one big narrative.
Yeah. So in order to listen to one, or understand the narrative, you got to listen to all of them. So I think that did help her, but still, it's pretty amazing. Come on.
Well, I think it's fair to say a lot of her fans are rabid.
Yeah.
It was Drake that had 10, but she beat him with 10 of 10.
Drake also had a narrative. The Drake stuff was also, a story he was telling. So
make money.
I don't know what else. Where's my
ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Young Thug is here.
Thank you. Yeah, the Young Thug. Right. Anyway, That's what's going on with Taylor Swift. I also wanted to mention, you'll tell me if I need to do something else, John. Do I need to do something else? Can I just mention the Chris Cuomo thing?
You can do whatever you want. Your name is
okay.
On the
well,
key.
I want to mention Chris Cuomo because, as you know, he left CNN, got a big settlement, was in a big back and forth. And then he ended up on this News Nation, and he's not happy.
I've told you, it's never easy being in this business.
He wants his show moved to another time period. He says that the paucity of audience, paucity would strike me
That's
as
a ding word.
Clear, yeah, absolutely a ding word. The small number of people watching is the result of his bad time period. He wants a new time period. He joined on October 3rd.
5 years ago or 10 years ago?
Yeah, he wants a time machine. He wants to go back and do that.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
He's saying his lackluster performance on his nightly broadcast, which airs at 8 o'clock Monday through Friday, is not the right place for it. He's talking about switching with talk show host Dan Abrams. He has the 9 p.m. slot on weeknights. Cuomo is getting nasty about the ratings, and he's starting to blame everyone but himself, says an insider. He's blaming the network, the staff that he personally hired, his lead-in, the promo department, and even the press department. Wow. He's really lashing.
My words upset so many people.
No, I was thinking of...
Maybe it's his catchphrase.
First, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know his catchphrase?
Yeah, what is it? Get after it or something like that?
Let's get after it. Yeah.
Let's get after it.
Well, it's not working.
Yeah. I actually don't hate that. Maybe it's wrong to say it, but I don't hate that catchphrase. But I do not like Chris Cuomo. I just don't think. I think he's too performative. It just feels too theatrical.
The word tool comes to mind.
Yeah, right. He's a smart guy, and I mean, I think his takes on things are reasonable. Sometimes, you know what I mean. It's like, but it's just a style thing. I just don't. I'm sure there are people who, you know.
Well, you can go to his Instagram and watch him work out.
That's right. That's another thing. He's kind of a poser, you know, as we used to say.
He likes to kiss his biceps.
Yeah, he's a little too well. Okay. bicep kissers in the crowd. That's kind of nice. There's a full hour of this show left, and that's a good thing because we have a lot to make up for. I do want to talk about the Pelosi break-in and the comments of the president. I'll actually play them for you. You'll hear that audio. The former president I'm talking about, Trump. And we'll also get into some other law and disorder cases, one related to J6, and then a bizarre case of that the legal system is grinding along on. Meantime, let me tell you to smash it like a boss. Smash that.
Smash it with your iron rod.
The like button. Hit it. Make contributions by hitting our super stickers and also our super chat. And much show still to come. There is a lot to do. I'll also share some comments along. It's why we come here to get our news stuff. Says, I don't know what that's related to, but I love it. Yeah. Well, we've got some news stuff coming. In fact, as I recall, Kim, you're standing by with news, are you not?
I am indeed.
So, we'll get to that in a moment. Mark Thompson Show continues here live on YouTube.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-DEAL. Released emails show former President Trump's lawyers believed that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was the key to stopping the certification of the 2020 presidential election. The emails disclosed to congressional investigators include discussions between Trump's attorneys on various legal strategies to sway Republican lawmakers to object to the certification of electoral votes. Attorneys were floating the idea of Thomas issuing a stay opinion, saying that the count in Georgia, quote, is in legitimate doubt, end quote. President Biden narrowly beat Trump in the state. The emails showed Trump attorney Kenneth Chesborough said Thomas would be the only chance to get a favorable judicial opinion by January 6th of last year. That was the day of the Capitol riot. Pumping the brakes now on allowing banned users to rejoin the platform. In a tweet, Elon Musk said there needs to be a clear process for welcoming these folks back. He said implementing such a process will take at least a few more weeks. Former President Trump is banned from the social media giant. That decision made after last year's Capitol attack. The push is on here in California for voters to make their voices heard. Nearly 3 million ballots have already been received for Tuesday's election, and several counties are predicting a very high turnout. President Biden heading back to California tomorrow. He'll be in San Diego campaigning for Congressman Mike Levin, who's running for re-election. The race, one of several in the state considered a toss-up. It'll be in the national spotlight as Republicans try to take back control of the House. And the man accused of attacking House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband is pleading not guilty today to an attempted murder charge, among other charges. David DePape appeared in a San Francisco court today. His public defender says there's been a lot of speculation and rumor going around due to the nature of the case, but that he plans to look into DePape's mental state and potential vulnerability to misinformation. DePape is accused of striking Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer during a home invasion on Friday of last week. And this report is sponsored by attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can find him on the internet at moskowitzlp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Why are you yelling?
There's a reason that this place is fun.
What up, everybody? Glad you could join us here on YouTube. It's our live stream every day, 10 to noon, right here on this great platform. We love YouTube for the community it's brought together. You guys can actually exchange with each other. And also the way we stay on the air is with money. Sharon Kidd, thank you, Sharon. A super sticker for $19.99. Come on. Big shout out.
Big shout out.
Tracy Pyers, super sticker. Tracy, big shout out. Thank you, Tracy, for that.
Thanks, Tracy.
Ralph, 2373. Ralph with the super sticker for 10.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ralph. Really, really cool. Travis, $9.99. Travis, yeah.
Thank you so much.
The American way, $9.99. Thank you, sir. Elwin, back in the chat with a super sticker.
Thank you so much.
Elwin is here regularly and is a great supporter, as are many of the others who I just mentioned. Adam S. for $2.99. Thank you, Adam.
So much.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, really, really cool. Those are the super stickers and super chats for today so far. You can super chat at us, and we'll 100% of the time read your chat and your comment. And
100% effective. How about that?
You can super sticker us whenever as well. You can contribute on our Patreon, support us, be an ongoing supporter, so we can stay on the air in, as I say, this new platform, which has some advantages over the other platform, the old KGO, Station X as it's being called. But that is the community that's formed, as I say. So that's really cool, I think. And the KGO and Exile t-shirts are available at getmarkmerch.com. They're black ones and white ones. You can also maybe purchase one of our attractive Mark Thompson Show coffee mugs, which I believe you can see have phrases on the back of them that all are phrases you've heard on the show. So you can get a why are you yelling mug, a why don't you just text it mug.
That's the one I have.
Why don't you just text it?
Yeah. Why are you yelling mug? There's also a where am I weed smoker?
Where are my weed smokers?
That's the one in green, I think. Yeah, there's the why are you yelling mug.
Why are you yelling?
Yeah. Where are my weed smokers at?
Oh, it's in green. I get it.
Yeah, you see, there's nothing subtle. There's nothing subtle. So all those things are available with a bunch of other cool merch at getmarkmerch.com. That's another way we keep the show on the air, getmarkmerch.com. Again, a shout out to Steve Moskowitz, who is our founding sponsor, and more about Steve later this half hour. There's much going on. You just heard from Kim some of the things going on, but time to hear about some other stuff going on I think that you'll be astounded by. And a follow-up to the Pelosi break-in. This is one astounding fact, and I'm not overselling this. I think you'll agree. Time for some law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
First, before I get to the conspiracies associated with the Pelosi break-in, let me tell you that this is an amazing fact. It's been talked about and wondered about. How come, and I think even Kim wondered out loud on the show when it first happened, how come there wasn't security of some kind around the Pelosi home? Obviously, there have been threats on her life. There was a threat on J6, right? They're yelling, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" In this case, this guy's doing the same thing. But having said that, why so vulnerable? I mean, they're wealthy people. And you'd think that they could afford some kind of security. More to the point, you'd think that the United States government might provide some kind of at least minimal security. Well, as it turns out, there was a video feed from the Pelosi home. Inside the command center for the U.S. Capitol Police, a handful of officers were going through their routines early Friday morning, going through live feeds from the department's 1,800 cameras. They used those cameras to monitor the Capitol complex and some points beyond. That brings us to the Pelosi's. On a screen showing a darkened street nearly 3,000 miles away, police lights were flashing outside the home of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. They pulled up additional camera angles from around Pelosi's home, and they began to backtrack then, go back over the video that they had missed. They watched recordings from the minutes before the cops arrived. There, on camera, was a man with a hammer. Breaking a glass panel, this guy entered the speaker's home. The 911 call and the struggle inside the home that followed have led to charges of attempted homicide, as you know, for this guy who broke in, and attempted kidnapping of the speaker. The incident has also put a spotlight on the immensity, perhaps the impossibility, of law enforcement's task to protect everybody in Congress, 535 members of Congress. How do you do it? But if the Capitol Police were going to stop an attack at the home of any member of Congress, they had their best chance to do so at Pelosi's. There was already video set up. But according to many familiar with this situation, the Capitol Police just weren't watching the monitors. They first installed the cameras around Pelosi's home more than 8 years ago. She has around-the-clock security, as you know. We talked about this the other day. It was in Washington because that's where she was. But hours after Pelosi left San Francisco last week, brought back to D.C., the security left with her, and then it's only the video feed to Washington. It's a remarkable fact that they didn't see it because it was being fed to Washington, to those Capitol Police officers who were charged with monitoring those feeds.
I wonder how many feeds they have versus, whether they have enough manpower, woman power, whatever, to monitor all that and monitor when a threat has been made. They weren't looking. I don't know.
Well, and what could they do? They could dispatch the police who, responded
pretty quickly. But I mean, the reality is, John's onto something. It might have been a situation where it made a difference of maybe, it might have made a difference of a few minutes.
Well, and I think a takeaway here is if you don't have exterior security, around the perimeter, you can't have a large glass window or door in your backyard and expect that to stop someone. I mean, that's not going to stop anybody.
I think the takeaway also, you need more than a security video that you're counting on somebody. I mean, somebody's there, they're eating Taco Bell, they're texting their friends. I mean, they're human beings. You know what I mean? I understand they're cops, but they're also, as Kim says, they're also watching a lot of other monitors. I mentioned to you just a moment ago, 1,800 different cameras that are monitoring. That's just the Capitol complex, okay? 1,800 cameras.
Well, I think some of the onus is on the Pelosi's. They're extremely wealthy. Celebrities have better compounds than that,
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I don't understand if you have north of $100 million, which they do. I don't understand how you don't have some kind of, rent a cop out there anyway. We moved, our house burned, and we moved. And we moved to Venice, California. And Venice, California has a homelessness problem. I mean, in other words, it's concentrated in that area. They have a crime problem there. Mm-hmm. They're also incredibly big, expensive homes there. We were just moving. We Airbnb because we had to scramble to get everything out. I'm telling you a story about security. So across the street from us was a famous artist named John Baldessari, and he died. He died while we were there. We were out of town. We had nothing to do with it. It's an older man. And he lived in a Frank Gehry home, okay? Beautiful architecture. And Frank Gehry, who did, did the Disney Concert Hall in Southern California, and he did the Bilbao Museum, blah, blah, blah. So I mention this because what did they do after he passed away? They put a guard out front of that house 24 hours a day. Now, it wasn't expensive because I went and actually talked to the guards, and some of them could not speak, I want to say, any English, and they were from a number of different places. They weren't Latino, they weren't Persian, they were all from, it seemed like, it was like a UN of security guards. But point is, and I mention this because I think the situations are parallel. For no money, probably for what Paul Pelosi has in his pocket, he could buy a week's worth of security. And for what he's got in his bank account, he could buy year-round security 24 hours a day. All you need, and by the way, I mentioned the English thing just because it shows you that the bar to be a security guard is low. You don't need to be even conversant particularly. You just need to be there and know and identify threats. And they did that, and they were able to secure that compound, which had art of all kinds in it. Oh, that's Baldessari stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
He lived in a place that they had one bedroom in, okay? I think it was 5,000 square feet. One bedroom and one bathroom, and the rest of the place is all his art. So it was a, big compound of art. But it wasn't guarded by tons of armed officers. One officer, one guard. And they weren't even in uniform sometime. So I'm with you. I don't understand how the Pelosi, but look, I'm not blaming the victim. I mean, Paul Pelosi, 82 years old, shouldn't have to worry about this. But sadly, he does. Anyway, this guy, David DePape, who we talked about the other day, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him anymore, but he openly talked about the fact that this was his plan. He was there with zip ties. He was there with tape. He was there to kidnap and otherwise forcibly detain and violently abuse the Pelosi's. He said it was a suicide mission. He also said that there were others on his agenda. Still, and I've just told you that there's video of this, still, you have conspiracy theories. And the conspiracy theories are forwarded by the various people who make up high levels of the GOP. Here is Donald Trump on just this thing, talking about the Pelosi's. You got it, Tony?
Thanks, Tony.
No?
It's
just a minute.
things going on in that household.
One more time.
In the last
this is Trump speaking.
It's weird things going on in that household in the last couple of weeks. Probably you and I are better not talking about it, but it seems was broken from the inside to the out. And, it wasn't a break-in, it was a breakout. I don't know. You hear the same things I do.
Yeah, the 9/11 tape seems to suggest that 9/11 tape seems to suggest that that he knew the idea.
Well,
like a buffering situation.
Okay. Anyway, the bottom line is that you've got a former president who is forwarding a theory that's completely bogus, right? And by the way, that whole thing, the glass was on the outside. Again, it's not. It was broken. There might have been glass outside as well, but as we talked to you about the other day, there was glass all over as the glass was
that's
broken.
really out of character for Donald Trump.
Yeah, and for him to jump on a senseless conspiracy theory like that, it's crazy.
What's interesting, though, is there's so much information that's been confused with the legitimate reporting on this story that even people in the chat room are saying they were Paul Pelosi was in his underwear, or like all these things that are not necessarily true are being confused now with the facts. And so people don't know how to separate it all and what to do with all this information and where to put it.
Yes, you're right, I suppose. But I mean, sometimes things are as straightforward as they seem. This is one of those things. We have video of the guy breaking in. For Pelosi to be in his underwear doesn't surprise me in the least. It was, if you break into my place, after midnight, I'm in my underwear.
Well, this was a rumor that was saying that they were both in their underwear, suggesting that that
there was some kind of sexual thing going on.
Yeah, and that was debunked. That was debunked.
Yeah,
but that was on Twitter.
Aren't I right, Kim? Wasn't it during the late night hours? Wasn't it?
Yeah, 2:45 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my underwear at 2:45. In any case, that's a story on the. But you're right. You say it long enough, and it legitimizes BS, and that's one of the issues that we've had with, frankly, these wholesale lies that are floated, repeated, and then echoed by this echo chamber, particularly on the right.
Well, it looks like KTVU initially reported that DePape was only wearing his underwear when police arrived. They later corrected themselves, posted a correction, and removed the erroneous information.
Wow.
So it took off from there.
Meantime, Charlie Kirk, the right-wing commentator, right-wing. I mean, I think he's really, he's really out there. He made an impassioned plea for someone in the audience to bail out David DePape, the man who attacked Paul Pelosi. He has a show, and he called David DePape an amazing patriot. So, again, these conversations now exist in a far more toxic, poisonous environment, I would say, than they used to exist in. Why is the conservative movement to blame for gay schizophrenic nudists that are hemp jewelry makers breaking into somebody's home? I don't think... Anyway, I don't want to dignify that with a response except to say that for you to call for him to be bailed out and to call him a great patriot, that's just, that's just awful. There is good news in that weird stalker case in the city. There's a weird guy who's been stalking victims in San Francisco, and 6 more victims have come forward. They've been charging this guy, 34-year-old Bill Gene Hobbs, with stalking and now with misdemeanor public nuisance. But with more and more people coming forward, they're actually maybe able to... this guy was, 14 different incidents for crimes against multiple women in San Francisco, charged with a total of 16 counts, 1 count of felony false imprisonment. Again, this is all because people have come forward. 2 counts of misdemeanor assault, 6 counts of misdemeanor battery. He's been accused of roaming the streets for months, targeting women, chasing, touching, even kissing them. It gets pretty gross, honestly. The victims and the public took to social media demanding he be stopped for good. Brooke Jenkins, the DA, has leaned in on this. And so this guy, 34-year-old Bill Gene Hobbs, he has been arrested and now charged in all those additional ways. Did you also see what's happening with the cops making more stops under Brooke Jenkins than they used to in the past? The story I saw was essentially, and they talked to cops about this, they said, hey, sir, new coach, new game plan. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, that reflected what we talked about when the recall was underway, which is, there's complaints about the cops not busting people and that people are getting away with a lot in the city in the way of smash and grabs and even physical assaults. And the thinking was, at least this was the argument at the time, that Chesa Boudin was not a threat to actually bring charges, that in a sense it was the word on the street that nothing would happen to you. Now, with cops making more frequent arrests and lowering the bar for what they will detain you for and actually prosecute for, it suggests that the word on the street is, hey, there's a new regime and they're tougher on crime.
I've spoken to about 5 police officers across the city, and I've asked them about the new DA. And the general consensus is that they're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, it definitely seems as though there's something different going on. You saw that, we talk about Paul Pelosi, but the Democratic candidate for office in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania seat that this Democratic candidate is running for, and I just want to grab his name, Richard Ringer, I think it is. Yeah, Richard Ringer. Democratic candidate for a Pennsylvania House seat in Fayette County, Pennsylvania. Do you see what happened to him? It's a Pelosi type thing. He was taken down, bloodied, and left unconscious. Viciously assaulted in his backyard yesterday by an unknown assailant. This is the guy running for the Democratic seat. I mean, it's an open seat. It's being run, he's running on the Democratic side, I should say. There's a GOP candidate as well. He was knocked out by over 12 blows to his face and head. After he regained consciousness, he called 911 to report the incident. He's had to call the police twice recently after vandals spray painted his house with election graffiti. And he had a brick thrown through his storm window. He spotted the man in his backyard, and he attempted to put Ringer in a bear hug, wrestled him to the ground. Ringer, by the way, is 69 years old. And he was hit 10 to 12 times in the head and the face and the eye.
That's horrible.
He knocked me out, he said. That's in Pennsylvania. Again, this world of intimidating and assaulting violently those who are involved in elections in this country, scary. So in this case, you actually got a Democratic candidate running for a Pennsylvania House seat, and he's aggressively and violently attacked. An Arizona judge ordering armed election monitors to stay 250 feet from drop boxes. Voters said they feel intimidated by the presence. You know the story. There are those poll watchers. I told you the other day, that's illegal. It's absolutely illegal, but it's a question of enforcing that law. So now a judge is saying election monitors should stay 250 feet from drop boxes. I'd suggest some of that election monitoring is literally not monitoring. It's illegal. You show up with a weapon and a face mask. I don't know. That's not a made-up story. It really did happen.
No.
That's not fake.
That's not
real.
fake. It's real.
But imagine going to the.
That's not fake.
And
That's real.
seeing people that are armed, seeing that kind of situation. Do you go walk into the polling place and vote, or do you think I'm getting out of this situation?
Well, that's the problem, that it has a chilling effect on the vote. So, yeah, that's exactly it. Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on the Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
I'll read some comments, some of your comments in the chat room. I'll get to them next as we continue on the Mark Thompson Show here live on YouTube. And I want to bring in our Mac Daddy. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
He's Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Come on for Steve Moskowitz. Yeah. He's
Thank
a
you.
veteran. Yes, veteran Bay Area tax attorney. We've talked about ERC because it's government money. And you've helped so many people with ERC. Give me a sense of the range that you've seen from your clients with ER. You can review with us again, because apparently it's not getting through to everyone. See Kim.
Oh my God.
I wonder if you can review what it is, but then speak to me about the range of benefits, the range of checks, if you will, government checks that people have got.
Everybody's facts, circumstance, and results can differ. But in our practice, we've had multiple clients individual clients getting millions of dollars. We've had a bunch of people in the hundreds of thousands, 200, 300, 500,000. And then smaller ones, and it's funny, everything's relative. You start talking about, 50 grand is a small check. I mean, even if you got 10 grand, it's money. We talk about 10 grand, to a lot of people that would make a difference between paying the rent and not. But for the most part, and again, I don't have any numbers in front of me, I'm going from my head, but it seems like the average client is getting hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And,
wow.
It depends on a variety of factors. Obviously, the more employees you have, the more money you're likely to get. Because you figure, do the math, you can get up to $26,000 per employee. So if you had 10 employees, you get up to a maximum of $260,000. If you had 100, it's 2.6 million. And, these are max, and we have to do the calculations, and certainly not everybody gets the max either. But the bottom line is, this is just tremendous. I see this money flowing from the government to the clients, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think the idea also that on the lower end of the spectrum, maybe in terms of checks being cut by the government, there might be individual proprietors, but that's real money. I mean, these are funds that could be desperately needed by a business.
That's
or an
right. I
individual.
mean, you could have somebody that was a one-man show, had his own corporation, and if you otherwise qualified, one guy could get $26,000 to a guy all by himself in business.
Wow.
$26,000 would be meaningful, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely right.
It's funny when you see the millions and the hundreds of thousands, you have to forget that $26,000 could be very meaningful to somebody.
Oh my God, $26,000 is a fortune. I think it's a lot of money. So I'll put it this way: if I won the lottery and only won $26,000, it would be a really, really exciting year. It would, I'd be very happy with it. So I want people to reach out to Steve Moskowitz on any number of issues, but ERC certainly is something you should take advantage of if you're a sole proprietor or you have a bigger business. So check it out. Even if you've been told no by others, Steve will, with his knowledge of the tax code being as detailed as it is, he'll help you realize whether or not it's really no. The answer may be that there are all kinds of possibilities. Reach him at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. It's Steve Moskowitz. You can also reach him online, MOSKOWITZ, Moskowitz, Moscow is MOSKO. Witz is WITZ. Moskowitz.com. And it's MoskowitzLLP.com. I think it's all so confusing with all the spelling, to be perfectly honest.
Why are you yelling?
I'm just... All right. It's MoskowitzLLP.com or 888-TAX-DEAL. Steve, we love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Love you too, Mark. Thanks.
All right, my friend. Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Yeah.
Why are you yelling?
The Mark Thompson Show.
Sometimes in an effort to clarify is my point. I think it actually makes things more confusing.
Yeah, it's overcomplicating the issue.
Yeah, exactly. But, okay. Anyway. Let's see. Do you want some? Oh, a hater? How did a hater get in? That's great.
We haven't had a lot of those.
No, this is terrific. SS says, intellectual idiots, you sound smart with a good radio voice, but you know nothing. Oh, great. Let's, why don't you say something to reflect your deep knowledge? Actually, I don't feel as though, to be perfectly honest, we've said anything that required a particular, everything seems pretty straightforward to me. But if you buy those right-wing conspiracy theories, then I don't know what you're referring to, SS. That seemed like just hate. I'm ready to take hate.
And you were missing a comma there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying that
You do not know what you are talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you do or not. Is Dirty Harry still in San Francisco? Maybe the Pelosi should hire. Do you remember in one of the Dirty Harry movies, is Clint Eastwood? He tore up most of North Beach. I mean, do you remember that? It was like between the gun battle and the car chase, there was almost nothing of North Beach left. It was hilarious.
North Beach
I
has
lived
been
just a
through
couple
a
blocks
lot.
from
You
it.
think about, Bullet and all those movies.
Oh, yeah,
North
that's
Beach
right.
kind of, has more than its share of action.
That's true. SS equals Carl, says Green. Yeah, that's right.
I did receive an
from-
email from Carl.
That's right.
It's the SS Carl.
Yeah. Yes. We had someone here try. Oh, the chat was debunking him. Yeah. I mean, I don't. The latest with the Pelosi conspiracy is so easily debunked. I don't even know where to start. But from Jim, Mark, the glass is on the outside. Cuomo is cocky and arrogant. I don't like him either. Yeah. Then Chris Cuomo. Yeah. He does have a cockiness to him. I'm kind of envious of people who are that cocky, to be honest. But
First, thank you.
Yeah. Mark, the glass is on the outside because the door is an outswing door, says Jim.
Well, and someone else pointed out a very good fact. All the glass broken when people break into cars. Where's the glass? It's on the sidewalk. It's in the gutter.
No.
Glass doesn't really follow a single trajectory, especially if you're using a hammer.
PT says tempered glass is a unique type of glass created to be stronger. If it does shatter, it shatters safely. When tempered glass is broken, it breaks into thousands of small pieces. That's good knowledge. Yeah. Look.
I know that firsthand because my car window was broken twice.
Yeah, John's had more break-ins, But I should also mention, again, I'll say it now for the fifth time, there is video of the guy breaking in from the outside to the inside, okay? There's video of it.
It's not a question. Yeah.
Why are you yelling?
All right.
But that's what I mean. Is people hear something or they read something from a questionable source, and all of a sudden they take that and they carry it away, and then they repeat it, and then someone else
they
sees that
want
and
to
believes
believe it. They want to
And
believe it because
it's also it's also a tactic, okay? It's a strategy. Repeat it enough and it becomes true. We get into our final half hour coming up. It's going to be big, big, big. On the Mark Thompson Show, we are live on YouTube.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. President Biden set to speak tonight for a final midterm push. The Democratic National Committee says it will look at the dangers of those who seek to undermine faith in voting and in democracy. Abortion advocates are calling on women to vote. 3 women interrupted a Supreme Court session today to protest the high court's ruling striking down Roe v. Wade. The U.S. is accusing North Korea of sending secret shipments to Russia to support its invasion of Ukraine. Newly declassified intelligence says North Korea is making it look like the shipments of artillery shells are going to the Middle East or North Africa. American officials say it indicates that Russia's arsenals are shrinking after 8 months of war. The chief of the Capitol Police calling now resources lawmakers after last week's brutal assault on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. Chief Tom Manger also says his department plans a review of the invasion of Pelosi's San Francisco home that left her 82-year-old husband with a fractured skull after he was beaten with a hammer early last Friday. Democratic senators are calling on the FAA to stop shrinking plane seat sizes. Since the 1990s, seat width has decreased from 19 to as little as 16 inches, and the pitch of the seat back has decreased from 32 to 28 inches. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden says regulators need to consider the impact on children, senior citizens, and individuals with disabilities. The mortgage application volume falling slightly. The Mortgage Bankers Association says it dropped by 0.5% last week. Despite the small change in rates, applications to refinance did go up by 0.2%. And those parklets that saved a lot of businesses in California during the pandemic because of all the social distancing rules and being outside They may not last all that long in some spots. The city of Palo Alto planning to put limits on their parklets starting next year. And tonight's Powerball drawing jackpot is up to an estimated $1.2 billion, the payout climbing toward the 2016 record prize of $1.5 billion. And today is National Stress Awareness Day. It's the first Wednesday in November, a time to recognize and reduce the things in life causing you stress. Mark Thompson, what causes you stress?
Yeah, what doesn't cause me stress, Kim? I haven't slept in years. It's awful.
Is that what it is?
I was just falling asleep last night. I'll tell you a story. This just happened just hours ago. I have maybe 3 hours of sleep a night I'll get. It's just awful. I've got a bad neck, as you know. But look, there are people with worse problems, so that's why I don't like to complain too much about it. But you could say
What?
I do. Yeah, I do complain about it a lot. Anyway, last night I'm just falling asleep. We've got a lot of stress with getting this new show going and everything, and I want everything to be we're trying to expand in certain ways, et cetera. Anyway, I've just fallen asleep, and Courtney has this thing that she does where I've already checked the perimeter of the place. I made sure all the doors are locked and the alarm is on. Okay. All of a sudden I'm awakened, and I awaken by, I don't know, I hear these, footsteps or something. And so I wake up and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's a Pelosi situation. So my heart starts beating. I go, well, what what's going on? What's going on? And she goes, oh, I just want to make sure that the alarm is on. I said, it's on. I put the alarm on. I walked the perimeter. She said, well, I went back out and checked it. It's like, oh, we have this thing. So then I didn't get back to sleep again for a couple of hours because my heart's beating like this. And so all I'm saying is, I think that there is an attitude you need to, and meditation can help to kind of let all that stress go. I think things maybe I internalize them too much, or I let them get to me too much. But just because you mentioned stress, I think how you handle the stress that everybody has, and that's a little tiny, small example. But I'm just saying that that's a little thing. Like sleep and a restful state is important.
Sure.
But I know there are people who are really dealing with a lot greater stressors. I mean, anybody with kids and stuff. I mean, you have to constantly worry about that. But I believe there are ways to handle the stress, and I think meditation is a great thing. I don't do it. I know how to do it, but I do it not enough. I'm going to try to get into more, but it's nice.
So you couldn't do this on Station X. Go from a newscast into a therapy session.
Isn't that nice? Well, the stress people from National
that conversation.
Right, exactly.
National Stress Awareness Day, they say just identifying the stressors, as you just did, that affect physical health can open the door to reducing them. So see, now that you've identified it, you've got the door swinging open to reduce.
I love the door swinging open. Good. Yeah.
This by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years.
You should apologize for how you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve has put his tax knowledge to work. Don't apologize to Steve, for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, you can give Steve a call at 888-TAX-DEAL or catch him online, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the very non-stressful Mark Thompson Show.
I've told you, it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Courtney loves murder shows, right? Says Jim Riley. Yeah, she does. And we're actually going to bring her on. You're right. She could always be concocting a way to murder me. I haven't even factored that into my stress. But there are those in every relationship. One person's more concerned about something than the other person is. So I feel like I'm always trying to chill her out. But she's pretty terrific, and she's coming on Mondays now to do Mark's Murder Monday. Isn't that right, John?
That's a great title.
Yeah, John came up with the title, so that's, Fabulous producer John Daly.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Well, if you can't play music, you might as well go with murder.
Exactly, and that's right. We can't play music because of copyright.
Murder.
So now it's murder.
You were talking about your nighttime routine thing, and it reminded me of this story that I just saw on ABC 7 from San Francisco police, and they are advocating a 9 p.m. routine. So at 9 o'clock every night, they say it should take you less than 5 minutes to prevent crime, and you should have a routine, 9 p.m. routine to help fight crime. So make sure your cars are locked, secure your belongings, lock your house by 9 o'clock. They call it the 9 p.m. routine, and they say it can help prevent a lot of your stuff from being stolen, house from being broken into, and help fight crime.
Huh. That's probably a good thing. Any kind of routine. You know, we are animals, and animals like routine. So any kind of routine is probably.
But you should also have a 9 a.m. routine, because I was assaulted at 10.
Oh no.
Yeah, maybe routines on the 9.
Fabulous
exactly.
producer John
on the
Daly.
9s. We
On the
prepare
9s,
for
you do your
crime
routine.
on the 9s.
Yeah. So meditate first thing in the morning after stretching, says Yvonne. It's a kind of a good plan. If you've got time to stretch and meditate in the morning, that's a great thing, great routine to be in, I think. Courtney was willing to put up with all of us. She must love you, says Nick. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think everybody was pretty kind to her. So anyway, she'll be back on Mark's Murder Monday, which is coming.
She did come in at number 2 on the top 10 Mark Thompson show videos.
That's right. She scored some big video hits and the number of views she got. We wanted to do news of the bizarre for you. And there are some bizarre stories. And I'll tell you the audience, because I'm honest with you guys. Do I have to do audience shout-outs here, John, or what do I have to do?
No,
news
you're clear for takeoff.
I'm clear. Clear for takeoff? Okay, good. So thank you for smashing the like button. I've told you before, that's really important. Smash it like a boss. Let's be done with it. You just smash it, even if you're watching on the replay.
Smash it
and
with your iron rod.
All you have to do is hit the thumbs up, and then we get credit for you having liked the video. So anyway, I'm always honest with you about what we're working on and I try to be, without taking you too much into the weeds. So one of the things, as you know, on YouTube, we can't play music. And I mentioned that guy Eric to you, who is really great. And I'm going to do a bigger thing on Eric. He's such a terrific asset. A lot of you did step forward and you said, hey, you can run this song. I'm a composer and an artist. And those are all building up, and we're actually going to do something special with those. So that's all coming. But Eric said for the stuff that we do, the stings, the intros, all of that we could have his music library. And again, more on Eric another time, because he has a production library of music that's really great. And one of the things we used for News of the Bizarre was that song, How Bizarre, How Bizarre. Well, we can't use that song anymore, right? Because we'll get flagged by YouTube for copyright infringement. So what did we decide we were going to do, John? I'm going to just play some music and then say How Bizarre? Is that what we decided?
Well, I think eventually we'll try to get some clips of people saying it, but we can do it a cappella.
Okay. So are you going to do it a cappella, John?
Well, if you play the music.
Circus music, you like that? No,
that's weird, man.
Oh, that's weird. You do the thing. Stop.
Okay, take 2.
What's going to happen? You're going to do the that's
You're
weird,
going to say News of the Bizarre, and then I'll go.
Okay. All right. Here we go. News of the Bizarre.
That's weird, man. Yeah, that is weird.
How bizarre.
Okay, yeah. It kind of worked. It kind of worked in its own dysfunctional way. Yeah. A missing Indonesian grandmother's body is found inside a monstrous 22-foot python, everybody. That is definitely in the bizarre category.
Yeah.
She was swallowed whole by a massive 22-foot long python in Indonesia. Wow.
I came across a python. I have a python story.
54.
You have a python story.
You have a python story? For real?
Yeah, when I was in Thailand on the island.
Hold on a second. Let me just get and then I want to hear it. 54-year-old grandmother is the latest victim of a deadly snake attack. Villagers cut open the serpent to discover her body. Her husband frantically searched the area, only discovered his wife's jacket, headscarf, sandals, and knife.
Oh, no.
Search party formed the next day. The giant snake was found with a swollen midsection, indicating that it had eaten something large. Shocking revelations.
That is a clue, right?
Yeah. They sliced the python open, and they found the body of the missing woman. Sad. Everyone was astonished, they say. It turned out the woman that they were looking for was in the snake's stomach. There's a picture of the snake now if you're watching on YouTube. So it's a sad and also bizarre.
What?
Yeah, which is why it makes news at the bizarre. And now
This woman,
special
by the way, had been working on a rubber plantation at the time. She was only 54 when she was swallowed alive by this snake. I should say swallowed whole, because don't pythons squeeze their victims first to suffocate them before they eat them?
I think that's their MO.
Yeah.
That is, I believe, what they do. They don't want a lot of wriggling around from their prey, so I think they kill it and then swallow it.
They're anti-wrigglers.
I'd stay away. I think this is good news and good advice from Karen on the chat. She says, stay away from pythons. How can you not know a 23-foot python is around and avoid it? Well, to be fair, she worked in that rubber plantation stuff. That's horrible. That's awful work. And, you're in the jungle and all. It's possible that, you don't see everything. I mean, to be fair to the woman, it could have. I mean, I know she didn't see the 23-foot python and go, I'm not going to sweat it. That's not going to be a problem. You know what I mean? I know she didn't blow it off, right? So she must not have seen it. But I think staying away from pythons, to your point, Karen, is probably good advice. Now, what is your python story, John Daly?
So I was in Thailand on the island of Koh Phi Phi, which is just fun to say.
Producer John Daly.
Yeah, Koh Phi Phi. Okay. Yeah.
So I went out drinking with some friends I had met, and at the end of the night, I'm walking back.
How many of your stories start with I'm out drinking with some friends I met?
Well, as a former bartender, a lot of them.
Okay.
I am a daily.
Yes.
So I'm on my way back, and it's not really a road. It's more like a path, like a paved asphalt path, say maybe like 8 feet wide, through the trees. And I'm walking along, and I see what looks like a large black pipe, like the size of like a sewer pipe across the road. And it's relatively dark. I'm like, that's weird. And this guy is walking towards me. He doesn't speak English, and he's screaming in Thai. He's screaming at me, screaming. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And then eventually I get close enough to see, it's not a pipe. It is a python that starts on one end, crosses the road, and goes down into somebody's like porch under their house. So this is one large, huge python. And luckily this guy got my attention, so I was able to, become aware of it. But yeah.
Wow. So seeing something that big, I mean, and knowing that there is a real danger there. Wow.
Well, I've never seen anything like that. We've never seen anything like that before. There's never been anything like that before.
Yeah,
no.
I don't think that's it. Yeah, no.
Nobody has ever put something like this together that we've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen
there was alcohol
like
involved?
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
There's never been anything like this.
There was an alcohol involved? Is that what you said?
Yeah, there was alcohol involved.
Where's my alcohol? Bet my lunch.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
Rats with backpacks could help rescue earthquake survivors. Because in collapsed buildings and collapsed wreckage, human beings and even dogs can't get into the rescue dogs cannot get into the search and rescue teams generally can't get into these tight spaces. So they train these rats and they put little cameras on them, and they're naturally curious, and they go into these tight spaces. It was conceived of by a Belgian nonprofit, and they are putting these high-tech backpacks on the back of these rats. They're first responders. I guess these rats would be first responders, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a for-profit operation.
Rats are typically quite curious and like to explore, and that's the key for search and rescue. They're being trained to find survivors in simulated disaster zones. They have to locate the target person in an empty room, pull a switch on their vest that triggers a beeper, and then return to base where they are rewarded with a treat.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's
it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It may be the wildest idea.
They sound more competent than some of my former coworkers.
Yeah. Most all of us will return to base for a treat, by the way. It's not just the rats. If you're looking to see what they look like with their little cameras on their back, you can check out our YouTube stream. And Kim, I think, is finding it now.
Do they get like little lockers, and have a little backwards hat?
Yes, they do. And they get a little, I mean, it looks like something out of a Disney movie, really, with the trainer talking to the rat.
Cute, but these are kind of cute. I mean, it's cute with a little backpack on.
Yeah.
Look, all of these rodents are cute. Rats are cute. Mice are cute. They're all cute. All of God's animals are cute.
Look at that. They set up this little obstacle course in here. They send the rats through this obstacle course of old tires and things to see what they can see. Interesting.
Well, the rats only get their bad name because of disease that is, follows them, because they are typically scavengers, and so they'll pick that up. But that's
nobody likes a dirty rat.
Nobody likes a dirty rat. Nobody.
Well, Joe Box,
I was thinking Joe Box might.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
They certainly have no. There is the rat being fed, getting its treat. But we'll keep you posted on that. That is clearly in the beta stage. So, you want contact lenses, or do you want alligator?
Oh, for sure, alligator.
All right, we'll go alligator. An alligator in Idaho? That's right. This is not Florida.
Say what?
A person walking their dog finds an alligator. They don't know where it came from. They're not native to Idaho. The Idaho Department of Fish and Game said one of their officers got a call from a resident who said they were walking their dog just east of the Idaho-Oregon border in a place called New Plymouth. Where is New Plymouth, John?
That is a good question. I think it's down the road from the Whole Foods.
I thought so as well. They spotted something moving in the brush, turned out to be a 3 to 5 foot alligator.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
The person who found the alligator loaded it into a nearby horse trailer before calling wildlife officials. They picked up the alligator the following morning. They don't know where it came from. They're asking anyone with knowledge of the situation to contact officials. In all likelihood, this alligator got loose from someone. And in other words, it's in somebody's home. Yeah, exactly. No,
Maybe it was on a road trip from Florida.
Yeah. I mean, these exotic animals, and there's a great documentary if anybody wants to see it. It's not a long one. It's called The Elephant in the Living Room. The Elephant in the Living Room. There's the alligator, a picture of it on screen if you're on our YouTube stream. And it's about how people get exotic pets of all sorts and keep them in these conditions they shouldn't be. But I mean, trying to get them to let go of these exotic creatures, and it's everything. It's literally the elephant in the living room. It can be elephants, it can be lions, it can be boas, it can be alligators. So check it out. I think now it may be 10 years old or so, that documentary, but it's good. The oldest practicing doctor. I will leave you with this in News of the Bizarre. He's 100 years old. Is this his retirement announcement? Oh, no. He says he has no plans to retire. At 100. Dr. Howard Tucker of Cleveland. He was certified as the world's oldest practicing doctor in February of 2021. He was only 98 back then. Now he holds this what am I trying to say, Kim?
Record?
Distinction.
Record?
Distinction. No, distinction was the word I was looking for.
My apologies. Yeah, oh Lord.
Yeah, distinction.
Why are you yelling?
He holds a distinction in the Guinness World Book. He is a record.
It is a record.
Yeah. Guinness World Record for being the world's oldest practicing doctor. Again, he's 100 now. He had that distinction when he was 98. He said he continues to work full time with his typical day lasting from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. He caught COVID shortly after his 100th birthday in July, but he continued to teach his residents via Zoom while he was recovering. The centurion
he's not a surgeon, is he?
No. Okay. No. His wife, Sue, is also working alongside him, practicing psychoanalyst. Oh, here's a good one. How old is Sue? How old is the 100-year-old Guinness World Record-holding doctor's wife? He's 100. How old is Sue? I ask you, Kim.
86.
Kim, how are you?
What do you say, John?
Well, he's a very successful doctor, right? So I'm going with 50.
Tony, what do you think?
Same answer I did
Thanks,
last
Tony.
week. 78.
The actual retail price, 89. She's 89. 11 years younger than he is. I think Kim got closest. Retirement is the enemy of longevity. Even in my younger years, I never once contemplated retirement, he says. When you love what you do and still are capable of doing it, why would you want to retire, he says. That's the world's oldest practicing doctor. No plans to retire. He is he's in Cleveland, Ohio, everyone, if you're looking for an older doctor. That is news. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you. So the question I have is, would you go to a 100-year-old doctor? Would you go to this guy and count on him for your medical needs?
Well, let me think. No.
I think it depends on what kind of doctor.
Yeah. I would go. Yeah, if he's. I don't know. If I just need if I need a prescription for my, whatever it is, statin.
Not a procedure.
He's a neurologist.
Yeah. Okay. Not a colonoscopy.
So it's for your brain. He's in neurology. That's what he does.
Okay. It's the nerves, though, right? Yeah. 100 years old. He looks happy. Yeah. That's right. I'm here for my headaches. What? My headaches. I said my head hurts. I can't hear you. I'm amazed that people have it all together at 100. It's awesome. Dr. Howard Tucker of Cleveland. That is news of the bizarre. Well done. As we wrap up on the Big Mark Thompson Show, you've had news of the bizarre. You've had law and disorder. You've had politics with Michael Shure. We did the drill down on the Pelosi break-in. I told you the story about the fact that there were video feeds of the Pelosi residence, something that was not known. Those feeds were being orphaned, essentially, by people who were either distracted or just don't pay attention to the feeds because they're looking at a bunch of other feeds. And those feeds go to Washington. We told you that story. We told you the story in San Francisco about how the new DA is cracking down on things, and cops seem to be cracking down as well on the lawlessness of San Francisco. And we told you the story of the rent in San Francisco. Those apartments now at an affordable $2,700 a month.
We also had snakes and alligators today.
Yes.
It's like, it's a 1-2 punch right there.
This is the question Jennifer asks. Can we have the old News of the Bizarre music back, please? Or is it a permissions thing? It's a permissions thing. It costs money. We get flagged when we use music that hasn't been cleared. You may have just joined the stream. I explained it before we did it. So that's the reason we kind of cobbled this
all
together.
the money.
Yeah. The music is copyrighted, so we really have to watch music very carefully. And Mike says it was ageist of me to make that comment about the 100-year-old. It probably was. It probably was a cheap shot. I love older people. I love my older boys and girls. In fact, I would say that's my crew, the older boys and girls. But you're right. It was probably a cheap. I'm just saying I have trouble hearing now. Of course, wearing these all the time doesn't help. But so I'm just guessing a guy who's 100 might. But I don't know. Maybe not. Speaking of older people, aren't we going to have my parents on? When are they coming on? Tomorrow?
Sure.
Yeah. My folks will be on with us tomorrow. They're 92.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
John Watson says, I hope I look good at 100. He does look good. You got to admit that.
John also says Idaho is where all the white supremacist alligators are going.
Very strong. Very, very strong. Well, I think we've learned a lot about each other today. This has been a very good visit. I want you guys to smash that like button if you haven't done it already.
Iron rod.
I also want you to go to our Patreon and actually support us so that we can keep this going and make it better, so we can do things like produce opens and, get you some of the things we're used to. We'll get Kim a cleaner connection. She now sounds like she's on a ship-to-shore radio a lot of the time.
I do?
Yes, you are. You drop out a lot. But it's you're such powerful as a news person and personality that we overlook it. But we appreciate very much your support. Raider Justin Ray says, always love y'all so very much from Vegas. What up, Raider? I could recreate any music you need. Probably still a copyright maze, though. Yeah, exactly. It's not a question of recreating it. I mean, you recreate it. It's somebody else's song. So, finally, Mark's parents, we love them, says Karen. Yeah, they'll be on tomorrow. At least that's the plan. So as I was saying, go to themarkthompsonshow.com to find out more in terms of what we're doing and all the different ways you can support us. It's very important that you do. And when you support us, you will help keep this situation going. Anybody have any closing comments as we wrap up? I'll go to you first, Kim. Closing comments?
I feel good about the Powerball tonight. I'm hoping a lot of people send. And I feel like we should do a Mark Thompson show lottery pool.
Well, we are going to do a pool with us. And then I will go through the lottery numbers. I didn't get many. themarkthompsonshow.com. themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Valerie sent some numbers in. I'll do those. Her birthday, she sent in. 3 numbers there, 1 from Mike. Ed has a suggestion for the show. Marie has sent in. So I will do what I can with the numbers that I've gotten in, and I'll cobble it together. How many lottery tickets should I get? 20?
Are you for our pool or for the listener numbers?
I mean, I'll use the listener numbers on a couple, but then for our pool, I'll get 20. Is that what I
think we should put EOX.
I couldn't hear what she said.
She wants you to put in EOX.
Yeah, EOX. Thank you.
$20 each. 20
okay,
each.
$20 each. So you'll buy them.
I'll do. Okay. I'll go get them. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll give you the listener numbers. Okay, all of that. Nikki's show is next. You should go over to the Nikki Maduro show to check that. Oh, I got a sticker coming up. Go back to the sticker. Big shout out to Carmela. Come on, Carmela. Very
shout out.
Carmela Indiveri. It's a very cool name. Teresa O'Brien, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, really cool for $10 on the super sticker. I love it. Coming up at noon, we talk voter fraud with Cal Matters. Samia Kamal? Yeah. A judge tells ballot box watchers in Arizona to cut it out. Ted Cruz calls out Trump. Teacher shortage problems and Powerball fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikki knows how to tease. I love that. Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of fun here.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
I want to thank you, Shadow. You have to say goodbye first, Shadow.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
And then McLaughlin has to do it.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
And now I can do it. Thank you all for your support, all the ways you support us. We do appreciate it. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.